and my foot hurt.
What's the matter with your foot?
You know what? Sometimes I have these sharp pains in my feet.
Like in the bottom of your feet?
It's like right here, like right up in here. Yeah, it's hard for me to walk. I can hear you now.
Hey, anybody, can you hear me? I don't know if I'm on. We're good?
We're on. You're good.
Awesome.
Good, Robin. We can hear you.
We're live on Facebook.
Yay! Yay!
All right.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
How is everybody?
Great.
Excellent. Well, I am so glad to see you guys. So, Sissy, you and I chatted on the phone, I think. It's nice to meet you. Are you in the office?
I am.
I didn't see you this afternoon. How you doing?
Great. How about you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
Kathy Ray, hi, darling.
Hi, my dear.
Cynthia, nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Ethan, thanks for joining us. Oh, he's connecting to audio. Diane, nice to see you again.
Thank you. You too.
You're welcome, yeah. Okay, do we have Ethan on? Can you hear us, Ethan? I think he's trying. There we go. And Mary's on. There's Ethan. Hi, Ethan. Okay, we're gonna get started because we have a lot to cover. Everybody excited about GPSs?
Yes.
Can
Yes.
somebody tell me what a GPS is?
It's a goal setting plan, I think.
How are we setting goals?
You start off with the amount of money you want to make, and then you break it down from there.
That's
Based
right.
Based on your, what is it, your average commission, and then you figure out how many houses you need to sell, and then you go how many people you need to talk to a day to get an appointment.
Yeah, yeah. That is a very granular description of that, right? It's very granular in that regard because it's going to take you all the way down to the details of what you need. So here's what I'm going to do. Can you see this okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to draw on this so that we are getting really focused info, okay? Now I'm going to do something up here. Please tell me if you can see that.
Yes.
Okay, good. And is it good? Do I need to pull it in a little bit more?
That's good.
I can see it. It's good.
Okay, all right. So here's what I want you to do. There are, Melody, are you still on?
I'm here.
Okay. Melody, would you mind, I'm going to email 2 documents to you right now. Would you mind sending this out to those that are on the call?
Okay.
All right. So I'm sending you the GPS form and the 411. So if you can just forward that, I would love that.
Okay.
Guys, give me 1 second, and I'm going to have that over to Melody. Business planning. Okay, we have GPS and the one thing. Okay, so I need that one. I need this one, and then I need this one. Okay. If Melody does not have your email address, if you'll put it in the chat window, that would be really helpful. I think Ethan may be the only one that we don't have your email address. If you wouldn't mind putting it in the chat window there so that Melody can send that out. And Ethan, I gave you one this morning that we'll be working off of, so that can help you. Okay. So GPS, if you are going to the beach, and you don't know, you haven't been to this beach yet, so you don't know exactly which way to go. You get in the car, what's the first thing you're gonna do?
Put in the address,
Put in the address into what?
your GPS.
Ah, isn't that interesting? How many, who uses Waze?
I do.
They couldn't. I love Waze. Does anybody have any idea why I love Waze?
Because it
But
has
Close to where the police are.
That's exactly right. Okay, look, I am a high D and I drive like a high D person. I'm sorry if somebody is honking their horn at you and you're at an intersection, it's probably me, and you can just wave in the rear view mirror because I'm probably going to be honking my horn. So yes, that's exactly why I use Waze. But guess what else is really great about Waze? When you put it in Waze, it shows you the map of where you're getting there, right? It's kind of the overview, right? When you put it in, it gives you the map, right? But then over on the left side, there is this black box. And in that black box, it gives you your turn-by-turn directions, right? All right, guys. Here's what I want to, okay. So your goals, your GPS stands for goals. This one stands for priorities. And this one stands for strategies. And I also like to say that this one is also steps. If you've never listened to the Entree Leadership podcast, it's Dave Ramsey's organization. Financial Peace University, it's their podcast. Gary Keller was on their podcast this week. And what was really interesting is he said, GPS, it's your goals, priorities, and steps. And I said, that's exactly right. I love that. So think of it as in steps, because oftentimes, you guys, don't we complicate things in this business? We tend to complicate things. And so then, and we have all these acronyms, and this is also known, it has been known as a 1-3-5. 1 goal, 3 priorities, and 5 steps. Okay, everybody got this, right?
Yep.
Okay. On Waze, you've said you want to get to the beach, right? So your goal, you've told Waze that your goal is you want to get to the beach. And then over here on the side of the screen is the steps. Your goal, let's just talk about transactions. Let's not talk about cost. Let's not talk about GCI, gross commission income. You can do this on anything. Maybe you have a plan for your son or your daughter or somebody to get into a certain school. Do you know you can build a whole GPS around that? Let's say that you want to get that 15 pounds, the quarantine 15, right? Maybe you want to get that off. You can actually put it to a GPS. So for today's call, we're going to do it on the number of transactions you would like to achieve. Okay, so who wants to be my guinea pig, and let's do this together. Now don't all of you talk at the same time. Ethan, do you want to be? I saw your hand go up.
I do.
You want to do it?
Let's do
All
it.
right. Now Ethan's name on your screen says James, but he goes by Ethan. And so Ethan and I got to meet earlier today. All right, Ethan, give me your goal. What's your goal?
I'm hoping to do 18 transactions in the next 12 months.
Okay, let's do it. So 18 transactions. And another way that we can say that is we want to help 18 families, right? So we want to say 18 families. All right. So out of those, that is your goal. Why do you want that? Why do you want to help 18 people?
Well, it'll make the amount of money that I want to make, and it'll be a good number to increase my business for the next year to about 25 families for the next year, and then that sets me up for 30 to 35, and so on and so on.
Excellent. A young man with a plan. How about that? Okay. Hey, Tevin Pitches is on here. Hey, Tevin.
Hey, Tevin.
How are you?
I'm
Okay.
good. How about you?
Good.
Good, good, good. Okay, so we're going to continue on. So, Ethan, we've got 18 transactions. You want to help 18 families, right? That's your goal. There's your G. Well, priorities, how are we going to do that? And isn't the hardest thing for us, isn't one of the hardest things for us agents is prioritizing our time? Because we get a phone call. Somebody wants to see that listing, right? We get somebody gets locked out of their house because they gave you the last key in the lockbox, or somebody locked the garage door and they can't get in. There are all kinds of disruptions in our daily life as a realtor. Yes? Right? Yep. So if we don't prioritize how we're going to get here, if we don't prioritize that, then somehow things are going to get away from us. And next thing you know, you're halfway through the year and you only have 5 transactions when you really ought to have 9 or 10 to be on track, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of like in Waze, and you get halfway down and you're somewhere in Alabama because you're going to 30A, and you're somewhere in Alabama going light to light to light, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get there. Well, that's because you accidentally made a detour and you are not on track to get there, and the 6-hour drive is now about 8 hours, right? And so we're going to have to fix that. So we'll do a mid-year review. But if you have your priorities, guess what you can do around your priority? You can set some intention around that priority. So how do we do that? We're going to write them down. Here comes our P's, priorities. Okay, so we've got our priorities. And Ethan, we're going to do this as in leads, because what do you need to have 18 transactions?
Leads and appointments.
Yeah. We need to have people. We can't close houses without people. We need people. How are we going to get people? So let's talk about that. What is your number one lead source that you feel really comfortable in going for?
For sale by owners.
For sale by owners and expireds. Can you tell us why that's so important to you and why that's your number one strategy?
My sphere isn't full of a bunch of people who are buying and selling homes, at least not for the next 6 years or so. It won't be. So pretty much my only source of leads is through expireds and for sale by owners.
Great. All right. Before we go to our second priority, let's talk about, Ethan, how are you going to do that? Number one, what's your number one tool? How are you going to go after FSBOs and expireds? What's the first thing you're going to do?
Well, the very first thing I'll do is get like a Red X or a Vulcan 7, something like that, but mostly just call them.
Okay, so you're going to get some sort of system,
Mhm.
Red X, Mojo, Vulcan, whatever the dialer is, whatever the database attached to the dialer, right?
Mhm.
Yep. So you're going to get a tool to call the list that they're providing to you, right?
Correct.
Okay. That's your very first thing. Guess what? That's number one of your first priority. That's your strategy. Remember GPS? Goal is 18 transactions. Priorities, number one is FSBOs and expireds. This now is going to be your strategies or your steps. Everybody got that? What's your next step that you're going to do, Ethan? Now you have this list. Now what are you going to do?
I'm going to make the calls.
Yeah. What do you do during the calls?
I just kind of let them know who I am. Well, the first call, usually I just let them know who I am, what my intentions are in the long run, and then I let the follow-up usually do the rest.
Okay, great. I'm going to come back to that follow-up. So you're making the calls, And as you're making the call, what are you gathering the information? What are you putting the information into that you gather from them? So if we're role playing and I picked up the phone and I say, hello, this is Robin, and you say,
Hey, Robin.
how's it going? Who is this?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? And so as you're making the calls, and then let's just say I'm really nice and I'm not going to hang up the phone with you or whatever, and I'm just curious what you have to say. And so I'm talking with you and you're trying to get information. What are you using to put that information into? Are you writing it out on a notebook? Are you putting it into a CRM? What are you doing with that?
Well, I put it down on a notebook. I have a little note next to the address with the name, how long they're going to do it for sale by owner before they list it. Just little notes about what their intentions are.
Yeah. Yeah. And then their intentions, right? Okay. Now, are you going to come back to them? Because you may not get them, you may not get the appointment in that call. So do you have some sort of follow-up that's going to come, that's going to come back to that?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Why is this important, you guys? Let me show you something. You guys seeing the screen okay now?
Yeah, just make sure you write large enough.
Good, good, good. Thank you for that. All right. This is your lead generation. LG stands for lead generation. Close, obviously, we have the client closed. Somewhere during this process is where we finally get to show them houses, right? Show houses. Or get the listing appointment where you go into the listing, right? This and this is a huge blank space here. This is huge because the lead generation, Facebook ads, mailings, postcards, phone calls, this is all lead generation and it's all front loaded, right? And you finally get them where you've got an email address and you're going to follow and you're going to follow up with them. This area right here is follow up. 80% of our business comes from follow up. Rarely do we get somebody to walk into an open house and they say, I want to buy this house. Will you write the contract for me tonight? Rarely do we get that, right? Be really nice if that happened all the time. Or rarely do we get on the FSBO, as you're calling, Ethan, rarely do you have somebody say, yep, come on over, list my house, I'm ready to go today. How often does that happen?
Well, it actually happened today.
Nice, I love to hear that. That's awesome.
But yeah, you never.
Right?
Like 1 out of 1,000.
1 out of 1,000. So we're winning the right, we're earning the right to work with these guys in this 80%. Where do you think we agents lose a potential client? Is it here at the front in lead generation? It's in the follow-up. We lose them in the follow-up because we get so busy because we don't have a plan to follow up with. We didn't write a GPS out and put the strategies in there. So here's your strategy. Let's get back to Ethan's thing. Okay, so number 1, you have the tool to call the list. You're obtaining it. If you don't have it, you're getting it, right? Okay. Then you're making the calls and you're getting information. You're gathering information and you're putting it into your system. Now for us, that means we can put it into command. You know what, guys? If you don't have control over command, don't let that stop you. Put it in a construction notebook, put it in your calendar, put it on an Excel sheet. It doesn't matter. Track that person and put as many notes as you can, and just do whatever you have to do to get the business, to get that lead to call you their agent, right? It's just a system. You could put notes, index cards in a recipe box, and that, you know, this person is Ethan Bowden, and I met with him on Monday, and I'm going to call him again on Thursday. So I'm going to move that card from Monday, and I'm going to move it to Thursday. Guess what? That's a system. It's just a system. And it's this follow-up. It's that follow-up and that white space. You're filling it. There's no more white space. You're following up with them. You're earning the right to be their agent, right? Okay. So you're putting that into the system. And number 4, what else are you going to do as you're calling FSBOs and expireds? What other strategies, steps are you taking to be their agent? What's another one?
Yeah, well, it's kind of in the follow-up. I'll send them information where, like, if they're holding an open house, say, here's what I do at my open houses, especially with COVID. Here's some guidelines. So, like, helpful information, I guess.
Yeah. So you're giving them something of value, right? You're contributing to their value by giving them something. Yeah. And would you say that by giving them something of value, would you agree that that might be that you're also showing your credibility to them?
And making them like me, usually, in the process.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what's one more thing? One more thing that you're doing with FSBOs and expireds?
Well, at that point, usually I would try to set an appointment. But I don't have anything else usually.
Okay, now, on giving value, are you mailing this to them, or are you showing up at their door?
Email.
I want to tell you guys a little story that made me furious. So I had a listing, and it was a luxury listing. And this luxury listing, you know, luxury listings, they take a little bit longer, and this was about 3 years ago. And I had, you know, luxury listing, you spend a lot of money on the marketing, and, you know, you hire a videographer coming in, and, you know, you're spending a lot of money, right, to get that luxury listing out there, marketing and the luxury magazines, et cetera, et cetera. And it expired. And we talked about, once it expires, that what we were going to do is we were going to get a painter in, we were going to declutter just a few things. It wasn't really bad, but we were going to go ahead and neutralize some of the walls. And I said, I'm going to get the contractor, we're going to go ahead and let it expire. And when it expires, we're going to get our contractors in, and we're good to go. The day it expired, an agent walks right past my sign, because they saw in FMLS that it expired. He walks right past my sign, goes right up to the front door, knock, knock, knock. He's got this nice, neat little package, a little gift, coffee mug, little trendy, you know, little salesy thing there. And he has the comps and his marketing plan. And he shows up, walks past my sign, walks up to the front door. The owner opens the door, and he says, I don't know if you know this, but your listing is expired. And she says, yes, I know that. And we're doing some work on that. Well, tell me about the work you're doing. She tells him about the work that she's doing. And meanwhile, guys, I didn't have another listing agreement signed, because we had talked about this. My contractors were over there. We're getting everything done. I assumed. You know what they say about assume. And so then he walks in, and he's like, well, you know, I'll get my contractors in here. You don't have to worry about paying them now. I'll do a pay at close at the end. I got you on this. All we need to do is go ahead and get this listed. Let's sign the listing agreement, and we'll have this listed in a week, and we'll take care of all of this for you, and you don't have to do anything. And just like that, the listing was gone. And you know what he did? He had a nice, neat, cute, little, trendy little marketing package, and he was watching those expireds, and he came in, and what he did is he proved himself more valuable than I had proven myself. We were doing the same thing. We were going to price it at the same way, but for some reason, he brought a little bit more value than I had given them at that point. Lesson learned, right? I learned quite a few lessons on that one. So when you're working with FSBOs and expireds, know that other people want that business too, and they are, and somebody's going to always be more aggressive, always coming from contribution. Safeguard, build a moat around your business, build a moat around your listings, safeguard that, and always, always add value. Can anybody give me another thing I could have done differently there? Let's learn from this, right? I'm being vulnerable and sharing. What else? What did you get from that?
Can you sign a listing agreement before that one expires or extend that listing agreement?
Sure should have done that, Melinda. That's exactly right. And that would have safeguarded me because they would have never thought about signing with somebody else. And
Right.
maybe that other person said, well, that's expired. You can choose whomever you want. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah. Good lesson for me to learn. Painful lesson for me to learn because it was a $650,000 listing. Very painful. And I sold in that neighborhood already. I did get other listings in that neighborhood, but that one cost me dearly. Okay, enough of that. Let's get back to GPS. Okay, so setting the appointment, info, value, bringing value, whatever that looks like. Okay, we have one priorities. Ethan, is this number one priority? Do you feel like it is strong enough that if you did nothing else except this priority and you built your calendar around this right here, is it strong enough to give you your 18 transactions?
Yeah, if I executed all the other steps after the initial call correctly, definitely.
So here's what Gary says. Gary says that when you're doing a GPS, that this first priority should be strong enough that on its own, you accomplish the goal. That means really think about what you're good at. Now I had somebody else in my office. I don't know. Let me see if she's in here. And I had somebody else here last week, and we talked about strategies and where we talked about how we went through this same thing. And she said, FSBOs and expired, she breaks into a cold sweat and her anxiety goes off the charts. And she says, that's not for me. But Ethan says, oh, that's for me. That is for me all day long. I'm not scared of that. I'll dial 100 to get one, whatever it takes. I love it. It's a challenge. Ethan was in my office earlier this morning, and he said, I love the competition. I love chasing the one, right? And yet, bye, Cynthia. Thank you so much for popping on. She just said in the chat she had to go. So he loved that. But for this other agent, she was like, oh, no, I'm breaking into a cold sweat. Can't do that. So we sat down and said, well, who are you? What do you like? Who are your friends? What's your sphere? What, at the end of the day, when everything is said and done, you say, man, I had fun today because I did this. What is that? So for her, it was not FSBOs and expireds. But for her, it was something entirely different. And we'll go into that next. Okay, so Ethan, you feel good about this. This is strong enough for your 18. So that's, remember our GPS. So our GPS is one goal. We have 3 priorities to achieve that goal. And we have 5 strategies to get to this priority, to get to this goal. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. The reason why it's also called a 1-3-5 is because you have one goal, 3 big rocks. You can also think of these as big rocks. What are the 3 things that you love doing in this business that's going to get you more business? They're your big rocks. And that means that your strategies are going to go on your 411. But we'll talk about there. I don't want to jump the gun yet. Let's talk about something else. Okay, so this one's FSBOs and expires. Okay, now let's pretend I need another volunteer. Ethan, that was awesome. Thank you so much. All right, give me another, I need another volunteer here for the second strategy. And we could actually call it the first strategy, but let's talk about another way. Somebody else be my guinea pig.
I will. Sphere of influence.
Yes, I love it. Okay, so, and so what we're going to do is on this one, we're going to say that this is your number one, right? And so remember your goal. Okay, Sissy, what is your goal? What is your goal this year? Or do you want to do it from August to August? You tell me.
So I want to do 10 more transactions between now and the end of the year.
Okay, let's do it that way. So 10 more by 2020, by end of 2020. Okay, so you're going to say that your first priority then, because remember, we have 3 priorities, we have 1 goal. Your first priority, and you're saying, is your sphere. All right, so we need 5 steps or strategies for this sphere, right? Sphere of influence. So, Sissy, what's your first step?
I need to get on the phone and talk to them on a daily basis.
Okay, so let me go a little bit bigger.
Okay.
How many people are in your sphere?
A lot. I mean, over 1,000.
Okay. Now, this over 1,000, are these leads that you've been working with, or are these people that know you, love you, and trust you?
Yeah, just my sphere, people that know, love, and trust.
Okay. So we have about 1,000 people here. Now, statistically, Sissy, we know that your sphere should be able, 12 people, every 12 people, we should be able to get 1. And that's a big one. Some people say it says that every 3 to 4 people should be able to give you 1, right? So we'll go 12 to 1. You can go 3. You could literally say 3 or 4 to 1. So every 3 or 4 of your people should be able to give you 1 referral. Okay. So we've got this, and you said the first thing was calling them, right?
Right.
How do you know who to call?
That is kind of my challenge.
What sort of
I don't have a system, I guess. That's the challenge. I don't have a system. Of course, I can just pick up my contacts and start making calls, but there's no system.
Okay. So system. We could do an Excel sheet. We could do command. We could do any CRM out there. We could do, some people use their phone as a system, but we can't really keep notes too much on that, right? So do you have a CRM right now?
I've got command.
And how many of your people are in command?
I don't.
You're like, I don't want to admit it yet.
Well, in my defense, I just got here in June, so I'm working on it.
You're working on it.
Yeah.
And how are you liking command so far?
It's good. I'm, learning a lot of new things at once is a little bit of a challenge, but yeah, it's good.
We say it's drinking from the fire hose, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so phone calls, but in order to do your phone calls, you've got to get the numbers from somewhere. So would we all agree on the phone, on the call here, that just like Sissy says, I need a system around that. Let's say that phone calls, should we make this one number 2 and number 1 is the CRM? Would that be fair to say? Why is CRM so important? CRM stands for Client Relationship Management. Why is that so important?
It's just a great way to keep organized, and it is a system.
Yeah. So would it be helpful while you're talking, while you're making your phone calls, and I'm in your sphere, and you say, I'm in your sphere, and you say, hey, Robin, it's Sissy. How are you doing? How's that, how's your job over at Siemens? Right?
Right.
Hey, Robin, I saw that you got a new puppy. That's awesome. What did you name her? You will not know that from your phone, right?
Right.
You don't know it from your phone. So a CRM gives us the details, and it creates a greater connection, right? So it doesn't matter if it's on a notebook for now, but you have this. There's Robin Lemon. She has a dog. She has 2 grown children. Her husband works here, and right. So because 1,000 people, you might not remember that, Joe and Susie's kid is named, Kyle, because you can't remember. But if you have that in there, it doesn't matter what system it is, but if you have that in there, there's that point of connection, right?
Right.
All right, so CRM, and then you're making phone calls. What else are you doing with that, with those, with your sphere?
Well, one thing that I used to be really great at that I need to start doing again because it works for me is pop buys. Just popping by with a little something fun or of value or both.
And then how do you determine you have 1,000 people in your database? Are these husband and wives in there as well, or are these distinct families? Or
Families. And so in the past, what I do is I'll have an Excel sheet of who I'm delivering to kind of in that quarter.
Yes.
So the next go around, I kind of look at that and I know, okay, I'm going to hit up these people and rotate.
Great, great. Do you ever find that you miss people?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So pop buys, and you organize it through an Excel sheet, and then when you pop by, what are you saying? And what is the reason for your pop by?
I base it kind of on the season or what's happening and try to do something kind of fun and something they might actually want and or use. And I don't, for my pop buys, I a lot of times literally will just leave it on the door. I'll shoot a text, hey, I dropped something off, because I know people are very busy, and I personally don't like when people show up unannounced. So
Unannounced, right?
that stresses some people out. So I literally will just bring it by. Or if they work in an office, unlike what now no one does, it seems, they bring it by the office and leave it. And, there's no expectation of them to visit with me. I just don't want to put any pressure. So, if I leave it, I just put a little or text them and say, hey, leaving something.
Yeah, that's great.
Front porch.
I love the idea of doing it at the office, because what happens, you guys, when you leave something at an office?
Everybody sees it.
Everybody sees it. And what are they thinking when they're like, oh my gosh, look at who gave that to you? Oh, my realtor Sissy did. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. What are they thinking in their mind?
Hopefully they're thinking, ooh, my realtor didn't do that.
Exactly, right? Okay, and then what else do you want them to think? I think I may need to know your realtor, right? Okay, now, so you have your Excel sheet and you do this quarterly. So what is your goal for the pop by? What's your call to action for? What do you want to see happen that's going to move your business forward?
Well, I'm always asking for a referral with those pop buys in some creative way. That's what I'm attempting to communicate.
Yep.
As I'm here to answer your questions, but also if you have friends or family, I'd love to help them and earn their business.
Good. And then how do you follow up to get that referral from them?
I don't have a system.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, guys, anyone have some suggestions for Sissy on how can she get the appointment? How can she get the name and phone number of a possible referral?
Well, she could say in her text, she could say, I'm here in the neighborhood previewing property. Thought I'd pop by, drop something off. I will contact you later this week to make sure you got it.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
then when she's on the phone with them, she could, whatever works for her in terms of her script of, hey, do you know of anybody, from the neighborhood or from your church or where you work, or depending on how well she knows the person
Mhm.
that is looking for a realtor,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
or that I could help.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else have any tips?
I always like to get connected through text, an introduction via text. That way you can capture the information, and it's just a warm way to say hello, and then you can reply back to both people and then zero in on the referral.
Yeah, I love that, Melinda. And so that approach is really sort of a non-committal, warm type of approach, right? It's where you can, and have you done this? And tell us a little experience, if you have some experience to share, where that has worked well for you.
Well, I think basically I reply back to both people a few times, and maybe they'll chat a little bit, and then I just kind of close my client or my contact out by saying, Janie, I'll give you a call, and what's a good time? And so she's going to commit because she wants to, look good to her friend. So at least you get a time and a number out of it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Melinda, I'm new. So would you, when you're texting this person that you did the pop by for, are you asking them for a referral in your text?
No, I'm typically asking for a referral when I meet with them or when I talk to them, and then just say, would you connect us via text?
Gotcha. So you'd still do the call like I did to follow up.
Yeah.
And that you would say, when they give you referral name, you'd say, hey, would you mind texting that to me?
Yeah, would you connect us via text? Because then it's easy for them to do no matter what time of day or night it is. And it's not like you have to meet them for coffee or email, depending on who it is, depending on who the person is. If they don't text a lot, can you connect us via email?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of pressure, and people, they don't have to call someone to call you or just forward your information and it blindly goes out there. And then maybe you make a new friend and then you're connecting together on the text.
Yeah, it's very non-obtrusive, right? And there is a little bit of peer pressure there, but it's in a very normal business type thing. Hey, you two need to know one another. Diane meet Ethan, Ethan meet Diane, tell a little bit about each other, and then you say, it would love for you to connect because Ethan is this and Robin is that, and then you're out. You've given that referral without the responsibility of that person saying, yes, I'm going to use Sissy, right? And so it's a very friendly way to do that, and without pressuring your own sphere, your own people to give me a referral, right?
It's just a connection. And then always thank the person that gave you the referral. I usually do a handwritten thank you note, a little gift. You can text a Starbucks gift card on your phone now. You can send $10 via, if you go to text someone, if you look at the bottom, at least on your iPhone, you can send a $10 or $5 little thank you.
Interesting. That's good to know. I didn't know that. Okay, thank you. Great interaction, you guys. Thank you for that. Okay, Sissy, so you have this. What's number 4? What's another thing that you're doing to stay in touch with your sphere?
Well, I don't know if this falls into this category, and I'm really not sure what this now looks like with COVID, but typically I've done a yearly client appreciation event, and my clients really love that. And I invite also individuals that maybe they've never used me before, but they have referred multiple people to me that have closed deals. So I do invite them because I want them to feel appreciated as well.
Yes.
So I'm one of my goals this week is to kind of think through what is that going to look like? Because I usually do it in the fall, and I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know what's going to happen with that.
Let's give, okay, I want to just take 1 minute to, let's not flesh this out because I want to get to the 411 and I want to respect your time. Let's give Sissy a couple of ideas on how to replace a client appreciation event with a COVID-friendly process. And don't try to explain it. We can follow up with it, but let's have some ideas. Take yourselves off mute and give us some ideas on how to do a COVID event. All right, I'll throw the first one out. What if you did some sort of something where it's a drive-by, where it's either at your house or here in the parking lot, where you have paper shredding. Maybe you have the paper shredding come out, or maybe you're doing a paint drop-off. Maybe you're doing a Goodwill drive or a charity drive. And then you'll have all of your cute little gifts that you like to give, your wrapped gifts and everything, and you have your signs, and as they drive by, you have your team or your husband or family or whoever out there, you know, woohoo, thank you for swinging by, blah, blah, blah. How about something like that?
I love it.
Okay. All right, anybody else have something? We all need ideas, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
How about Zoom parties? How about Zoom game nights, where you, you know, 8 lucky members, you know, 8 lucky clients of ours get to do a Zoom night where we're going to play charades via Zoom or something like that. How about Zoom cocktail parties where we're going to have you know, an intention around that. We're having a Zoom cocktail party, and the goal is to meet 6 other people or 12 other people. And so how about something like that? And that might need to be your top A, your major referrers. Okay, anybody else have any ideas? Drop it in the chat window. Okay, so we have client events, and last one, Sissy, what's your last step? What's your last strategy that you have that you're thinking about to stay in touch with your sphere and get referrals?
One of the things I want to try to do is more videos.
Mhm.
I hate doing videos. I hate to be seen. You know, I hate seeing myself, but as I've been reminded, everyone else knows what I look and sound like already. So,
Right.
you know, it's
No.
get over myself.
Yeah.
So I want to start doing that and just being more consistent with that and offering good info on the market and what's happening in our area, which is easy to do with all the info Aubrey gives us weekly. So I've done that a little bit, but you know, just putting myself out there. It's I think people are more apt to watch that than open up an email and read it. And if you're offering helpful, insightful info, then it's of interest. Because who
Great.
doesn't want it? I mean, you know, all of us. I'm sure you all get asked every time someone sees you, especially now during COVID. How's the market? What's happening? You know, what are your thoughts? So,
Yeah. And could there be a follow-up to this, right? So then the follow-up then comes sending out a text, and there are text programs that you can do for a very small amount of money, where you can text out a whole lot. You can send one text to a whole slew of people saying, did you get a chance to watch that video? How can I help? Right? So you're getting another touch with them. You're getting another opportunity to talk around real estate.
that's good.
Okay, so here's one priority, 5 strategies. Let me ask you something, the same thing I asked Ethan. Sissy, is this robust enough to get 10 more deals by the end of 2020 if done right?
Yeah, if done right, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Because then the other 2 strategies, they may be open houses. They could be home buying seminars. They could be circle prospecting. They could be door knocking, whatever that is, right? Those are other strategies that support, and they're the cherry on the top, right? Okay, how do we translate GPS into a 411? Because your GPS, remember, tell me what the G is.
Goal,
What is the P?
priority.
Priorities, right? You can also, next to priorities, you can write big rocks. These are the things that if you were to go into if you had former jobs where you actually went in and clocked in and went into an office and worked for somebody else, there are certain things you would have to get done that day, right? If you're a secretary and you're working for that boss, are there things every day that boss wanted from you? Yes, right? You had your certain things you had to get done, and all the other things had to fit in with that. Guess what? Those are the big rocks. And we have big rocks in real estate, which means if we must do these in order to be successful. Everything else fills in, but these are the top three. These are the priorities. These are the big rocks. This is what gets you to be a successful agent and reach your goals so that you have a life worth living, a business worth having, right? Okay, so how do we take our strategies and we develop, because we have these 5 right here, right? Okay. Your GPS. Now, in one of those emails in one of the documents that were sent to you, that Melody sent out to you, that is, you have one that's called My Thing or The One Thing. That is a combined GPS and 411. And then you have one that's just a GPS. It's a 2-page document that you can play around with and really write out your strategies. And then the other one is a 411. Let me show you very quickly a 411, how easy this is. This is the other thing that I sent to you, that Melody would have sent to you. This is a 411. Okay, it's the August 411. Up at the top, you have your monthly goal. And then underneath that, you have weekly goals. And then underneath that, you have daily goals. Now that can be really confusing unless you've done your GPS so that you know your big rocks go on here. So your monthly goal, we have September, October, November, December. We have 4 more months, Sissy. 4 more months to get 10 deals, right? 4 more months. So your big rocks, your sphere, at the monthly goal here, you're going to do 2 more, you want 2 more deals right here. That's your monthly goal. That's all you have to do. And you're getting 2 deals from your referral, from your sphere of refer, from your sphere of influence, right? All right, let's talk about that. What's your 411? Well, your monthly goal, right? 4 stands for 4 weeks. Okay, so monthly goal, that means you need 2 under contracts or 2 closed, right?
Yes.
Okay, we need 2 closed, right? And then, so in order to get 2 closed, remember the 5 strategies we did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is 1 every week, right? Each week, because this is 4 weeks, you have to accomplish in 4 weeks 2 closed transactions. Your next one is 411. The next one is, what do you need to do this week in order to get 2 closed this month? And then, what do you need to do today so that you have the activities that you're doing today support? So if you need 2 closed by the end of the month, how many listing appointments do you need? This is what Kathy was referring to earlier. Are these 2 listings? Is this 1 listing and 1 buyer? Right? So you have to define that. So what activities every day are you going to do so that by the end of that week, you have talked to this many people so that you get these 2 closed, right? And we know that what we do today shows up in 90 days. So we need to get on it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So does everybody understand that? Here's your monthly goal, your 4 weeks, what you're doing every week, and then what you're going to be doing every day. And you're going to focus on that priority. You're going to focus on that priority there, and you're going to build around that. So for Ethan, it's his FSBOs and expireds. And he knows how many calls he has to make to convert that person into an appointment. And how many appointments does he need to go on to get a signed contract? That's called your conversion ratio. And for you, Sissy, how many touches do you need to make for your sphere in this month and be able to do it on this week and to be able to do it that day? Does that simplify things a little bit for everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Any
And I think it helps
questions?
to keep that in front of you, in front of your desk,
Yeah.
in front of wherever you're working all the time.
Yeah,
Helps keep you focused.
yeah. What's another way that we can stay focused? What if we
Let me know.
What if we had somebody we had to show that 4112 to every week? And what if we had somebody that is saying to you, well, Sissy, you said that you needed to contact 40 people. You needed to have conversations with 40 people this week in order to get one referral. And you needed like 4 referrals because we don't know if they're ready to go right now. Right? So how many people did you call this week, Sissy? Right?
Mhm.
And why am I going to ask you that? Because I'm seriously invested in you achieving that goal.
Right.
Right? So how about an accountability partner? Accountability sounds so bad. How about an encouragement partner? Way to go. You did it. Right? So would that help us to have somebody that we have to sort of answer to, and we have to kind of show our 411 and show our personal, and then if we don't reach it, we have to say, yeah, I didn't reach it. And they're like, okay, so how many calls are you going to make next week to make up for that? Right? And then they're going to talk to you next week about that. And if you really need even greater accountability, how about a text to your encouragement partner or your accountability partner at the end of each day saying how many phone calls you made that day? Now we're talking about serious accountability, right? I had a coach, and I'm going to leave you with this. I had a coach that said, Robin, your success in business is one decision every day. Thanks, right? It is. It's one decision. Do I want that bad enough to do what I need to do this day? That's really what it is. And then you build your day around that decision that you've made. The other thing I want to say is that I had a coach, and she said, you need to text me. It's because I gave her permission to do this, by the way. And she said, at the end of every day, you'll text me how many conversations you had and how many appointments you set that day. And if you don't achieve that, then what pain point are you going to tap into to make you do it the next day? It's pain versus pleasure, right? Yes, the pleasure is that I reached my goals. That's cool. But what is the pain point? The pain point, long term is that, yeah, I don't go on vacation this year. But what's the pain point today that's going to be? So you know what mine was? I had to skip coffee the next morning.
That is painful.
It really was.
I wouldn't be able to do anything the next day.
My point exactly, right? And when I missed it, I was like, my head is pounding, and I did not want to disappoint her that night because I knew the next day I wouldn't be able to get my coffee, and it worked. So, any questions? Because I want to let you go. I want to respect your time. What questions, ahas? What do we have about today? What have you learned? What do you appreciate? and what are you going to put into practice? Y'all don't leave me hanging. Somebody say
Yeah.
something.
It's great info. I think just when you break it down, it simplifies things, and it's just, it doesn't, as you said in the beginning, we complicate a lot of it.
Yeah, yeah. So it sounds like we're definitely getting some good points. Annie, give me one more aha and I'm gonna let you go. Tevin, talk to me.
Yeah, pretty much just need to do that and keep it on the wall somewhere in front of me all the time.
True that. You guys have been awesome. Thank you, Tevin. I appreciate that. Sissy, really appreciate you being the guinea pig and letting us help you today. Ethan, same thing. Thank you for that. Such an inspiration. FSBOs, expireds, man, you got it going on. Kudos. All right, you guys, thanks so much. Make it an awesome day. I'll see you later.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.